I'd like to try a quick experiment. Right now, notice your left foot. Just notice it for just a moment. Can you feel where it's touching the floor? Or maybe where it's resting inside of your shoe? 5 seconds ago, your foot was still there. Nothing about it changed. The only thing that changed was where your attention went. Now, notice your breathing. Take one slow breath in and out. Again, nothing has changed. Your breath, hopefully, was happening the entire time. You simply directed your attention toward it. Now, think about your tinnitus. If you are like many people, just mentioning it probably brought it into your attention too. But the sound may have been there all along. But now you're actively noticing it. That difference between something existing off in the background and something becoming the focus is what we're going to talk about today. I'm Dr. Emily Hensarling. I'm an audiologist and a tinnitus coach. And today we're talking about one of the most important concepts within tinnitus management. And that's the difference between awareness and attention. Because understanding that difference may change how you think about your tinnitus and maybe even how you relate or experience it. Imagine that you are standing on a dark stage and you have one spotlight. Wherever that spotlight shines, that is where your attention goes. Everything else is still on the stage. It hasn't disappeared. It's simply no longer the center of your focus. Our attention works very much the same way. Awareness means that something is present. Attention is when you're actively focused on it. Think about the refrigerator in your kitchen. Most of the day, it's probably humming, and you know it's there. But unless someone asks, "Can you hear the refrigerator?" you are probably not paying a whole lot of attention to it. The sound never disappeared. Your attention and awareness were just moved elsewhere. And that's a really important distinction. Now, let's bring this back to the tinnitus experience. One of the biggest misconceptions that I hear is I just need to ignore it. You've probably heard that one. And if you've ever tried to ignore your tinnitus, you have probably noticed that the harder you try not to notice it, the more you notice it. That feel familiar? And that's because attention doesn't work that way. You can't force your spotlight away from something. Instead, you can learn to gently move it or redirect it. And that's a really different goal than forcing something to happen. So for this example, we're going to think about learning to play the piano. The first time that you sit down, every movement takes effort. But over time, it becomes easier. Not because you were born knowing how to play, but because you practiced. And attention is the same way. Here's a little crazy thing. Attention is a skill. And like every single skill out there, it becomes stronger with practice. Hopefully, you think that's really good news because it means that you don't have to wait until the tinnitus changes before something else can change. You can begin strengthening your ability to guide your attention today. I'm going to guide you through a short attention practice together. So if you're able, go ahead and look around the room and choose an object. Maybe it's a lamp, maybe it's a picture, maybe it's a coffee mug, whatever you want. Really notice it. Look at the detail. Look at the shape and the color and the texture. Really focus on the minutia and minute, teeny tiny details if you can find them. Now just take a moment and really look at it. Now I want you to gently move your attention towards your breath, feeling the air moving in And the air moving back out. We'll do another breath, just really focusing on that feeling of the inhalation and the feeling of that exhalation. Now I want you to notice your tinnitus for just a moment. In this moment, there is no judgment. There's no trying to change anything or force something to happen. You're simply noticing. Now move your attention back to the first object that you selected. Again, looking at all of the detail, the color, the texture, the location. Now move your attention back to your breathing. In and out. Now I want you to widen your attention just a little bit to the whole room around you and focus on that just for a moment. Were you able to shift your attention, even just for a few seconds? What you were practicing is not an attempt to get rid of your tinnitus. What you are practicing is moving your attention with intention. Is that clear? Attention with intention. That's the skill. And every single repetition that you do helps to strengthen that skill. So, a common question I would get when I would explain this is, then why does my attention keep coming back to my tinnitus? Well, that's because your brain asks a question. Is this important? Is this relevant? Does this matter? Think about when it's time to buy a new car and you're kind of noticing everything on the road. And then suddenly you kind of pick one and you're like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. And then all of a sudden you see that model of car everywhere. And it's not that the cars suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Your brain, at this point, because it's something that you've decided you would like, has decided it is relevant. And the same thing is happening with your tinnitus. When your brain believes that tinnitus is important or threatening or something that might need to be monitored, it'll keep bringing that attentional spotlight back. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because your brain is wired to protect you and it's doing exactly what it is supposed to do. So attention training, like the little exercise we did, isn't about forcing the spotlight away. It's about gently teaching your brain, it's okay. You don't have to check on this every few seconds. Now that learning happens through repetition, just like any other skill. There's a common misconception around this, and this is where some people can start to become discouraged. They practice moving their attention and 30 seconds later, their tinnitus is back. So they think, that didn't work. But imagine, again, going back to the piano, they hit the wrong note. Would we say to ourselves, or that person, I guess you're just never going to learn? Well, of course not. Learning happens through repetition, and attention is no different. Every time that you notice your attention has wandered and you gently move it back again, you're practicing. That's it. That's the practice. And this isn't failure. That's the repetition that builds the skill. In the book, 10% Happier, Dan Harris describes this as doing reps at the gym, but doing it for your brain. And in fact, the moment that you realize your attention is drifted, that is the moment that practice begins. Now, imagine that you're sitting out on your back patio and you're drinking your morning coffee, or maybe tea. For a few moments, you're enjoying the warmth of your mug, the birds outside, the lovely cool morning air, and then suddenly, tinnitus grabs your attention. Nothing has gone wrong. This is your brain simply going, hey you, do you remember this? Oh, instead of getting frustrated or trying to force it away, you simply notice. My attention has landed on my tinnitus. Now notice there's no judgment in that statement. It's just a statement of fact. I notice my attention has landed on my tinnitus. And then gently move the spotlight. Maybe it's back to the warmth of the mug in your hand. Maybe it's to the birds or the feeling of your feet on the ground. A few moments later, maybe your attention drifts back again, and that's totally okay. You can choose to simply move it again. You're not doing this because you're trying to escape tinnitus. You're doing this because you're practicing a skill, and this is what attention training looks like. This week, choose 3 ordinary moments every day, maybe while you're brushing your teeth, perhaps while you're walking your dog, maybe even during a cup of coffee or washing your hands, something that you do every single day. Notice where your attention is. We spend an awful lot of our lives on autopilot, so this is something that you can think about doing as a way to make sure that you're really paying attention and you're in the moment. So notice where your attention is and then intentionally move it somewhere else. Maybe you actually notice the temperature of the water or the sound of the birds or your breath, the warmth of the coffee mug. None of those are trying to make your tinnitus disappear. You're simply practicing moving the spotlight. And every repetition strengthens that skill. This week's shift is from I have to stop noticing my tinnitus to I can practice moving my attention. One of the biggest shifts I've seen over the years isn't that tinnitus suddenly disappears. It's that people stop believing that they are powerless over where their attention goes. Tinnitus may still enter your awareness, and that's completely okay. The goal is to not eliminate awareness, it's to build the confidence that you can intentionally guide your attention again and again. And like any skill, this isn't going to be perfect. We're not after perfection. We're after progress. We're after practice, not perfection. And some days are going to feel easier than others. But every time you notice and gently move that spotlight, you're practicing a skill that becomes stronger over time. If this video is helpful, I would love for you to subscribe and join me next week. Until then, remember, you don't have to control your tinnitus to begin strengthening your attention. No perfection, just keep practicing.